Oh, it's time. Time to get radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
That time period. Starting out with the almost honorable mentions, we have Heavy Metal Gamer, GTV Japan, and 2D UK. The first honorable mention comes to us from Art Bell. News. Boogie 2988's annual viewer money bag. Walkback Master. Last 3 minutes of this video. His last push to buy memberships was July 2019. Almost a year has gone by. Now we get this. First he said he demonetized the video. Untrue. He is celebrating blocking Twitter people. No admission of poor behavior. Just dehumanizing longtime watchers put off by who he really is. Versus the polite Boogie actor. This is a guy who whined about how low sales from his adult movie business after an event with airplanes happened in September 2001. How dare it upstage his business and hurt his sales. Then at the end of the video, he gripes about fewer videos getting ads, strongly pushes the join/Patreon, and then adjusts it to, if you are doing well in this economy, if you are flush, then do it. Hello millionaires, give me your cash. The rich guy who hands John Hancock the Dono Whale High Roller class. Justin LeClaire, right? For whom the boogie butt wiggles, it brings mighty Boogie with 4.3 million subs, doing surveys and polls, and swerves of his viewership to stop the decline. Loves that join button. A bold ask of viewers, as he gets a decent views and pay from YouTube, why claim suffering and woes? It comes off as suspect and grifty when he is trying to stop viewers leaving too. Poor look. The video is why I block my worst critics. Boogie 2988 exposed, setting it straight. He sure is. Thank you, Art. The next honorable mention comes to us from Wolfpack1. Exactly. In the real world, when you need money, the first thing you do is go to friends and family for help. Not everyone has friends and family, so the next avenue to take would be to go out and get a loan. These YouTubers won't ask their friends and family because they know it's shitty to ask people that work to support their lifestyle. They won't go to the bank to get a loan because the loan officer is going to laugh when they tell them it's going into a YouTube channel. They're okay with e-begging online because they don't have to look at people in the face when begging for free money and items from strangers. The channel Renegade Media Group is just 3 people who sit on a couch and turn on the camera to make poor quality, low effort videos and react to others' hard work and talk about movies. Of course, they have the eBeg Patreon and P.O. Box info to donate. I posed the question to them about why they need donations to do these low effort videos. I got a reply saying Patreon donators get reaction videos early and the lame-ass excuse of no one is forcing anyone to donate and people ask for the P.O. Box to send stuff. This still didn't answer the question as to why the donations are needed. Instead, I heard the same weak, tired excuses. Maybe someone else can get them to answer why they need donations. They seem willing to engage because they think they are geniuses with those responses. Thank you, Wolfpack1. And the last honorable mention comes to us from Rasta Populus. Ever since Amico was announced, and they went on and on about that nonsense of it being the ultimate 2D game hardware and only exclusives being allowed, I knew it was going to be nothing more but an over-marketed piece of crap. No better than the countless systems running 99-cent mobile-like games from 10 years ago. I like Tellerico's past work, but I can't help but think that he lost his mind when he started this thing. Here's the fact. There is no room for a system like this. People already have very capable phones that run better looking games, designed for a very casual audience that just needs something really quick to kill time. People already have the Nintendo Switch if they need a secondary portable system that plays handheld versions of many solid console games and quality exclusives. People already have either an Xbox One or a PS4 if they want the best performance in a game console and quality exclusives. And I don't even need to mention PCs for the convenience of doing pretty much anything you need in addition to the greatest potential when it comes to game performance and digital accessibility. Where the hell does Amico fit in? It just doesn't. This thing will flop, and nobody should be shocked when the new exclusive Earthworm Jim game ends up being ported to Steam, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch a year or two from now. I laughed out loud at what you said at the very end, by the way. I forgot what I said. Must have been funny. I don't have time to check it. Thank you, Rust. Thank you, Rust Populous. And going into the medal ceremony. Wait. Is this an error? The bronze medal goes to Rust Populous. Rust Populous says, on the subject of Patreon, I wonder what your thoughts are. I'll believe that in. It's kind of funny. What your thoughts are on the creators that do nothing of what they promise to do with their Patrons. I know you're against Patreon in general when used by YouTube content creators, but I'm curious on your thoughts. Did you know Spoonie still gets something like $300 USD a month out of Patreon and basically doesn't make any content? Mark Bercier from Classic Game Room created his Patreon so people could support the show and have it continue. But out of nowhere, Mark decided to move to Amazon and change the show's format, something nobody asked for. And after that, he basically ended CGR without any notice to viewers and fans. He still has his Patreon, but the money is now going towards comic book creations that nobody asked for. A third example I can remember is this pretentious furry guy called Rags, who gets over $800 a month from Patreon despite not producing any content on his channel for years, whose activity seems to involve gathering with people like Mahler on live streams to insult movie review channels who disagree with their opinion or political views. Personally, I'm not against Patreon at all. I just wish it was possible for the service to prevent the above types of situations. Like I said, I know and understand you and other viewers here think about having a Patreon is already shady to begin with. I've said this other times. I don't think that way. But those three examples are, to me, much worse than giving Darkside Phil tips. Really that low. Considering this is a thing, I can't say I'm surprised people really approach asking if they can support you with Patreon before you can even consider starting one. I know it's not my business, but I still find it's baffling. It's, if not depressing. So you make an argument that someone like a Darkside Phil is maybe actually better than these other people that either lied to their audience about what they are. Well, let's make an argument, silly argument that, the hobby videos are a product, which I don't agree with, all right? You make an argument that Darkside Phil is not worse than people like a Spoonie, who basically doesn't do anything but still gets the Patreon donations. It's a solid argument. Now, Darkside Phil is one of the biggest e-beggars, if not the biggest e-beggars, on the YouTube platform. But he's doing something. Like he's playing games, And Spoonie, I think a lot of people donated to Spoonie because of his uploads. Spoonie at one time, believe it or not, I mean, he's a pale shadow of what he used to be. Spoonie at one time, many people will point to as one of the best creators on YouTube. Now, I personally wouldn't say that, but a lot of people really, really love Spoonie from the past. But a lot of those people still donating to him. I wonder if they're donating to him thinking, well, maybe if we give this person more donations, maybe it'll spark some creativity to come back. In most all cases, it does not. Someone just told me that Alpha Omega Sin might have gained a patron. So I wonder, is it maybe, could it be even worse to where some of these people have already left the platform? Obviously, they don't give a shit anymore, but maybe they leave the Patreon up because they think, well, if people donate more to the Patreon, and they won't even say it, maybe the feeling is that it might coax them to come back. And you talk about CGR, who I thought was overrated. I mean, I never really got into that person. I thought this person is very bland. It's generic. Maybe it was groundbreaking at the time he came out. Let's talk about this game right here. I can't really do his voice that well. But he is doing comic stuff now. I mean, I could get it if there was a lot of audience that maybe said, hey, we want you to go into this, or we want you to talk about these things, or if there was an existing audience for that. But it didn't seem to be the case. And he even said fuck off, and he went over to Amazon. He said fuck to his YouTube audience and went over to Amazon. So I could make a long rant on how scummy that motherfucker is. But yeah, I would say under best scenarios, I don't like Patreon, but under the best scenarios, I would prefer that there be a creator that at least is creating something if they're getting money, Because then you have a situation like this where they're doing nothing but still getting money. And I went hard at Gaming Historian recently because this motherfucker is only uploading one upload a month, compared to what he's making on Patreon. So yeah, even if you have the argument that these hobby YouTube videos are worth something and have value, then I don't think anybody can disagree that people getting money on Patreon and not uploading and not doing really anything, well, that's just about the worst thing you can see. Really? Thank you, Rostopopulous. The shiny silver medal goes to Art Bell. Wait a second. Is this double-double? Double-double? Damn, I think this is the first time we've had two doubles in one comment of the week. But these two were working hard that week. These two were leaving a lot of great comments. Art Bell says, he is up against a daunting question. Why not buy a Switch? 3 years old. Talking about Tommy Tellerico and Andy Amiku. Swamped with games and emulation. And soon, we'll be back to $100 cheaper once the part shortage ends. What's amazing is that the health crisis would help the Amiku's launch year if it was out now. Switch is $500. New gen consoles might be $600. Switch is $500? From part shortages and lockdown demand. Oh, you mean like scalpers? Because there was a shortage on the Switch, and I did see some people scalping the Switch for like $500. TT's number one gripe is no couch co-op. It's all solo mobile games in 2020. One critic listed his entire Switch collection. Half the games were couch co-ops or of two-player games. Half were solo. A good number of Switch titles named had 4 or 8 player options. It is objectively false to claim there are no couch titles out there. TT has to add more factors like complex controllers and boogeymen of blood, sex, drugs, and ignore Splatoon and racing games which pass all his tests, but the controller beef. Tommy likes Nintendo, but hates the Switch's policy about allowing drugs, sex, and violence content. He must really hate that he has to compete with the Switch and that Amico needs to make marketing material to lure investors, while Nintendo enjoy huge cash reserves and might be working on a new version of their console to make TT's job even harder. Cheap and simple mobile games on a home console that allows more players has appeal. A console locked to kid-safe mode, 2D games with simple controls is appealing too. The $100 Banana PI mainboard TT was paying to let out this detail is not fun when you are trying to control cost. Using it instead of a cheaper and more common Raspberry Pi might be the Amiku's undoing. Of course, if he went with the older Pi board, critics might savage him, cheap, sad, pathetic tech, and so on. While in bulk, maybe there is a low-cost difference, the current Amiku's price looks like it will be close to $300 if the supply chain doesn't let up, a huge turn-off. Better to take the idea of the Game Boy, old tech, and cheap tablets, but it would make his job easier. As TT's arguments get challenged like zero co-op games exist on the Switch, exaggerations about sex, drugs, and violence, blood in most Nintendo games, we might see a frustrated TT whose cousin is the singer of Aerosmith. A lot of great Aerosmith songs. Some of my favorite songs are Aerosmith songs, okay? So, I might listen to some Aerosmith a little later, right? And Tommy himself, a very, very good musician, okay? Tommy also, the thing is, people might come by and say, hey, Rick, you have an issue with Tommy. I don't have an issue with Tommy. I like a lot of his past work. And like I said, hey, Aerosmith, fucking awesome band, right? But I say it as I see it. I say it as I see it. This is a daunting task. It is a daunting task to try to release a console at this time, this year, when the Switch is freaking killing it. I mean, who predicted the Switch would kill it like it is, okay? If this was maybe during the times of the Nintendo Wii U, and a lot of people really weren't on the Wii U train, okay? Then possibly. If this was maybe a stagnant middle of a generation, a lot of people weren't really, excited about the next gen of the, Sony PlayStation and the Xbox, then possibly. But this is almost literally the worst time to release a console. A console that really has limited appeal. Because look at who you're trying to go at. You're trying to go for, the kids and the family. It's supposed to be a family console. So I get the argument that, there's some violent games on the Switch. Okay, there's some violent games on Nintendo. Okay, there is. But there's also Splatoon. There's also Mario Kart. If it's one thing Nintendo knows how to do, it's to make games that appeal directly to children. That's one thing they have perfected through the years. And then you talk about how it's using a mainboard of the Banana PI mainboard. Okay, a lot of that technical stuff, admittedly, I don't know a lot about that technical stuff. So maybe the idea was he didn't want to get roasted by going with a cheaper Raspberry Pi. Well, the irony here is, this console, it cannot be past a certain price point, given all the options. But, that would be ironic if he went with this board because he didn't want to get roasted by people and criticized by people for going with a Raspberry Pi, while at the same time maybe it puts his console out of price reach for a lot of people that he's aiming it towards. Thank you, Arbel. The gold medal, the shiny, shiny gold medal today goes to Adam 10 Rose. I sometimes say Adam, Hadam 10 Rose. I've heard more than a few people saying my fans kept asking for it. Let's play devil's advocate here. That means there are so many people out there who are so stupid that they just want to toss their hard-earned money at something they get for free. So maybe I can sell these people some air. They already get it for free, but they've got all this money to burn. Why wouldn't they buy air? In reality, at best it's one lonely person who subs to them that think the tuber is their pal. It's like the people with the psychological defect of thinking that they can buy love. And these people with Patreon aren't helping these people. They just all need to be honest and say, look, I don't really think much about YouTube after the videos are done. Why do you think I never respond to comments, guys and gals? We're not friends, and we never will be. I don't care about you, just your money. Because while you're off working a real job, I can just sit here with my hand out and loaf around all day. Then again, some dumbasses are donating to these people because they fall for the tip jar lie or have never made a video themselves, so they don't know how easy it really is. So they fall for the it takes 12 hours to shoot one video, it takes 4 to make a thumbnail lie. Average job? 8-hour days? 5 days a week? I know there are a lot of YouTubers who do videos weeks in advance. Some record months worth of stuff in 1 to 2 days. Then take the rest of the month off after uploading and scheduling. So they can only work 2 out of 30 days. But you want to know the real sad thing? Every channel is a copy of another. Don't like RGT85? Well, he's a copy of Spawnwave. Bad suggestion, but I want to use people you know as well. Don't like Enlisted Leaf? Lionheart. Tiered of Geeks. Gamers covering the same damn news over and over again. $3 Theater. For every person that says it costs a lot of money and takes up so much time, there is someone else on this platform doing the same damn thing in their spare time and for free. Nailed it out of the park there, Hampton Rose. When it comes to commentary, when it comes to maybe, news, gaming news, I don't do that a whole lot just because, it's just so simple. It's just so easy. And a lot of it is kind of soulless. I couldn't imagine being just a soulless channel, unless it be something that really interested me, or something that really interested a lot of you. I generally wouldn't speak on it, but there's times that I just am recording something. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'll put in like a jab at other people or other, news networks, and I'll just put a jab in there in the upload like, okay, let me check my watch here. This took less than 10 minutes. Okay, this took less than fucking 10 minutes, And these motherfuckers are making it seem like this is so hard to do. So hard to do. I think collectively you have a lot of people get together, and one part of it is they copy off each other. They literally copy right off of each other. They watch a YouTube upload, they make a note or two, then they copy it, and then they do exactly that. There's no soul, there's no heart, there's no passion in that whatsoever. Hell, they're not even interested in what they're talking about. And then they expect money. Passionless fucking channels, copying off of other people, and then they want the money, right? So one thing I like to try to do here, Haddington Rose, is to show people that It's not really that difficult. Okay? Granted, there are some uploads I have seen on YouTube that look time intensive. They do look difficult. It looked like it took some time to put that together. You know, GTV Japan. This person's done some videos that look like it took a lot of time to put together. You know, there was a Hulk comic, a Hulkster comic from the 80s that was very well done. And I have no doubt that took several hours to put together. Okay, so there is exceptions. There are some uploads that take a lot of time. But the thing is, it's always overstated. You know, fucking 2, 3, 4 hours for a thumbnail? For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. You know, 40, 50, 60 hours for a video. And then you look at the video and you're like, huh? That was mostly a pickups video. Are you trying to really fucking sell that to me? But I'll finish with this, okay? You talk about one lonely person who subs in that thinks the YouTuber is their pal. Some of these people that donate, they get on a channel, all they would really like is that YouTuber to maybe interact with them, you know, to reply to their comment, you know. Maybe they go there over and over and over again. And I know on a bigger channel, I mean, PewDiePie is never really going to be able to respond to people, you know. But I'm talking about a channel maybe that gets a lot of Patreon donations. And there'll be times to where, like, I've seen people in the comment section, as sad as it sounds, I've seen people leaving comments like, you know, I donated to you on Patreon. I just want to get an answer to a question. I donated to you just to get an answer to a question. That's the saddest fucking shit I've ever seen. And people ask me, Rick, what is your problem with Patreon? What is your problem with Patreon in regards to YouTube? My biggest problem is these motherfuckers getting all this money from people under false pretenses that they are their pal. That it would make their day just to get one fucking reply from these goddamn motherfuckers who they have given hundreds of dollars to. Hundreds of dollars. And they can't find the time. When the reality had them 10 roses, they have nothing but fucking time because they're unemployed, lazy fucks living off their audience.